So I've been seeing this number floating around all weekend. Bolt 19 golds, Lyles 10 golds, and before I even touch this topic, I had to actually go check it myself, because that's just how I operate. I'm not putting a number in a title without confirming it first. And I'm going to tell you right now, that 10 number, it's not accurate, at least not the way people are using it. So let me clear this up before we go any further, because I think it actually makes the real story even more interesting once you understand what's really going on. Noah Lyles' actual major international gold count, meaning Olympic golds plus World Championship golds combined, sits at 9, not 10. 1 Olympic gold, that's the 100 meters in Paris 2024, and 8 World Championship golds on top of that, 9 total. And I get why the 10 number is floating around out there, because people are mixing up 2 completely different counts, his major international medals and his US national titles, and those are not the same thing at all. One of those is Bolt level currency, the other one is domestic hardware. And mixing the 2 together is exactly the kind of sloppy mistake that happens when somebody sees a number trending and just throws it in a title without slowing down to actually check it. I'm not doing that to you. I checked it, and I'm telling you straight, 9 is the real number. Now let's talk about Bolt's number, because this is the mountain we're actually comparing everything to. 19 total gold medals, broken down as 8 Olympic and 11 World Championship. On the Olympic side, that's 3 in the 100, 3 in the 200, and 2 in the relay. Since one of his 2008 relay golds got stripped after his teammate Nesta Carter tested positive for a banned substance. On the World Championship side, 3 in the 100, 4 in the 200, 4 in the relay. Added up, 19 gold medal winning finals across his entire career. And on top of all that hardware, the man still owns every relevant world record. 9.58 in the 100, 19.19 in the 200, 36.84 in the relay with Jamaica, and none of those numbers have moved an inch since he set them. That's not just a resume, that's basically the ceiling of the entire sport. And I don't think we're being dramatic when we say nobody currently racing is within shouting distance of touching that. So where did Lyles actually get his 9? Budapest 2023, that's the World Championships where he pulls off the triple. Gold in the 100, gold in the 200, gold in the relay, and the 200 gold in the relay. And that makes him the first man to do that since Bolt himself did it. Think about that phrase for a second. First since Bolt, that's not a small thing to have attached to your name. Then Paris 2024 happens, he wins gold in the 100, and in the 200, he actually tests positive for COVID 2 days before the final and still lines up and runs to bronze, gets wheeled off the track the moment the race ends because his body was completely finished. Then you get to Tokyo 2025, an ankle injury cuts into his training, oblique Seville upsets him in the 100-meter final, his first major 100-meter loss since 2023, but he still turns around and wins the 200 gold at that same championship. Add all of that up and you get to 9, and that leaves him sitting 10 behind Bolt on the major international stage, not caught up to him at all. Now here's where the real 10 actually lives, and I think this is the part people should actually be talking about this weekend instead of mixing up his medal count. This isn't about his international total moving at all. This is about his US national title count, which is a completely separate tally. He already locked in his 10th national title Friday night, winning the 100 meters, a season-leading time. And tonight, if he wins the 200-meter final, that pushes him to 11 national titles overall, and specifically makes it his 6th US title in the 200 alone, which is a record for that event domestically. That right there, that's a real 10, a real number worth talking about. I just need you to understand it's domestic hardware. It does not touch Bolt's 19 in any way. And I think that distinction matters if we're being honest with the audience instead of just chasing a catchy title. And from what I saw come out of that 200 final, the man didn't leave any doubt out there. 19.62, dominant, another statement run. Nobody else in that field was within reach of him once he hit his stride. I watched that and I'm just sitting here thinking, this is a guy who keeps answering every single question people throw at him, and he does it on command in the moment that actually matters. Now let's talk about why this gap between him and Bolt could still realistically close some more before he's done. He already holds the American record in the 200 at 19.31, third fastest man to ever run that distance, and that's not a small accomplishment sitting next to a Bolt comparison. Some people point to his frame, his limb-dominant build, his short torso, and call that a real genetic advantage, less energy spent per stride compared to stockier guys lining up next to him. But here's the part people conveniently skip over. His start was historically a weakness, a real liability, and he had to grind that into merely average through years of deliberate, targeted work. So even with real physical gifts in his corner, talent alone never carried him. He still had to build the rest by hand. And I think the human side of this story deserves just as much attention as the medal count. In 2020, he goes public about dealing with depression, gets on antidepressants, nonsense. In 2021, he comes off medication before Olympic trials because of low energy, still shows up, still wins nationally, but settles for Olympic bronze in Tokyo behind Kenny Bednarek and Andre DeGrasse. That's a guy fighting through real stuff behind the scenes while still performing at the highest level most people will ever see. So when I hear people act like this is just a talent versus no talent conversation, I think that misses half of what actually got him to 9 golds in the first place. Now, I've seen both sides of the debate out there, and I want to address it honestly instead of picking a side just to be dramatic. Some people are calling him the certified GOAT right now, full stop, no hesitation. Other people are saying flat out he'll never touch a world record, that his times are good but not legendary, and he's just not built the same way Bolt was. Honestly, I don't think you have to fully agree with either extreme to respect exactly what he's built. 9 major international golds is a serious resume on its own. First man since Bolt to triple at a World Championships is not nothing, and doing all of that while dealing with injuries, a positive COVID test in the middle of an Olympic final, and public mental health battles. That's a real story regardless of where the world record conversation lands. So let's land this the right way. Bolt sits at 19 major international golds, untouched, world records still standing. That's simply the standard the entire sport gets measured against. Lyles sits at 9 on that same international scale, with his national title count now pushing into double digits domestically after this weekend. 10 heading into tonight, 11 walking out of it with a record 6th in the 200 specifically. 10 behind Bolt internationally, that gap is still very real. I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise just to make a cleaner headline. I rest my case. Let me know in the comments where you think this Bolt comparison actually stands. By the time Lyles is done racing, I read every single one of them, and as always, fast is a lifestyle. And if you rock with what we're doing here, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it.